On the top of the world, below the surface of a giant ice cap, a city is buried.
50 feet below the surface of the Greenland ice sheet in the winter of 1960, there was a city. It had barracks and a mess hall, a hospital and a barber shop, a chapel and a theater, a research laboratory, and even a hobby shop, all connected by tunnels carved into the ice and roofed with steel arches, powered by the world's first portable nuclear reactor humming in a chamber deep beneath the surface.
200 U.S. soldiers lived there. They were 150 miles from the nearest coast, 800 miles from the North Pole, in a place where the temperatures above ground dropped to minus 70 degrees, and the wind frequently blew at 100 miles an hour. That's where they got their haircuts. They went to church there. They played pool. They ate hot meals there. And almost none of them knew why they were actually there.
The U.S. Army called it Camp Century, and it was presented to the media, to Congress, and to the Danish government as a scientific research station. It was presented as a marvel of Cold War engineering and a demonstration of how Americans could live and work under the ice.
In this frozen wasteland, they will be pioneers on one of the world's last frontiers.
Walter Cronkite filmed a documentary there. The Saturday Evening Post ran a feature on it, and the Boy Scouts visited.
The scientific research station was real, but it was also a cover story.
Now, does this have any immediate defense aspect?
Well, not an operational mission, no. It's a big experiment, an R&D project.
Camp Century existed to test whether the United States Army could build something far more ambitious beneath the Greenland ice sheet. It was a hidden network of 2,500 miles of tunnels, housing up to 600 nuclear missiles on mobile rail launchers, operated by 11,000 soldiers spread across an area 3 times the size of Denmark. All of it invisible to Soviet satellites. It was part of the U.S. first strike nuclear strategy. The thinking was that if the United States could knock out the lion's share of Soviet missiles while they were still in their silo, the United States could then defend against or at least survive the remaining Soviet missiles. The U.S. could, in fact, win a nuclear war. And the code name given to the Greenland aspect of this plan was Project Iceworm.
I'm Leanne Sima-Fullahan, here with Brian Becker, and this is the Socialist Program. This is part of our series on the Pentagon and CIA operations that shaped U.S. foreign policy and global strategy. Today we're covering Project Iceworm, the secret U.S. Army plan to turn the Greenland ice sheet into an underground nuclear missile base. This is a story about nuclear weapons, about sovereignty, about what happens to Indigenous people and small nations when they sit on land that the U.S. military wants, and about the straight line between Cold War operations in the Arctic and what's happening right now as the Trump administration continues to insist that the United States must take ownership over Greenland.
We need Greenland for national security. We have to have it.
To understand Project Iceworm, you have to understand why the U.S. military became obsessed with Greenland. And the answer, as with so much in this series, is geography serving the interests of empire.
At the top of the world is the Danish island of Greenland.
Greenland is the world's largest island, over 836,000 square miles. It's roughly the size of the entire eastern United States. 80% of it is covered by a massive ice sheet that is 2 miles thick in many places. Its population in the 1950s was around 23,000 people, almost all of them Inuit Indigenous people. And Greenland sits almost exactly along the shortest flight path between Washington and Moscow. The Great Circle Route, the Polar Route, goes directly over the ice sheet. In the era of intercontinental bombers and ballistic missiles, Greenland was the front porch of a coming nuclear war.
As you go to bed at night, as you get up in the morning, as you take the children to school, as you do the washing, as you do the cooking, as you go for a pint in the local at night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, teams of men control bombers carrying nuclear warheads on around-the-clock sentry duty high in the atmosphere.
That's all for this preview. Subscribe at patreon.com/The Socialist Program to hear the full episode, get access to all our patrons-only content, and help make this show possible.